Okay, we are live. Hi, Vasil.
Yay. Hi, how are you?
Fine, you?
I'm doing really nice. I mean, it's a nice gloomy day, which are my favorite kinds of days, so I'm very excited.
That's great. I should say good morning to you, right?
Yes. We just, there's quite a long delay between the two of us. Like, I feel like
Yes,
it's probably the longest that it can be almost.
but still, we can make it work, so
Absolutely.
no problem at all. I'd like to say again, such a beautiful background with all these colorful paintings, and you were mentioning that you did all these.
I
It's
did, and they're
amazing.
mostly a lot of them are from our books. So, like, this one is from our Ichabod Jones Monster Hunter. That one's our mascot. I just like pre-pandemic, I used to do a lot of painting and I would get like commissioned to do paintings weirdly. And I did a lot of conventions and they sold really well at conventions. And then during the pandemic, I decided when everyone redid their background, I was like, I have all of these paintings that I did. So I put a bunch of them up and it's nice. I don't have to do one of those virtual backgrounds. So thank you.
Yeah, great. I should also work on my background. For the moment, it's just my room, but yeah, it's a mess, but still works.
I think it's very
Yeah,
classy, so I love it.
thank you so much. So, okay, today we are here to discuss mainly about how we are running Substack and Kits all together, and why
Yep.
creators might need another tool such Kits or Mailchimp or Beehive, whatever it is, in addition to their Substacks. And it will be really interesting to learn more about you, about how we are using your kits to promote your work, to increase your sales and maybe growth. So you will tell all these, details to us. But before starting, maybe I can shortly introduce you for the ones who are not familiar with you. I'm so happy that I had a chance to do a written interview with you as well for Newsletter Circle before, and it is a really highly recommended piece because you provided so many in-depth insights about how you managed to grow your Substack to almost 50,000 subscribers and how you became a Substack bestseller with over 1,000 paid subscribers. Um, so you are also, actually you have a solid experience in online writing as well. You started in 2008 with a blog, right, if I'm not wrong.
I
And then
did.
since then you're an active writer, but in addition to that, you are a USA Today best-selling author, speaker, publisher, and you are running a six-figure business. So you're doing so many things at the same time, and it's no surprise that Substack might not be enough to manage all these work and to manage relationship with your audience. Yeah, but before going into the details of it, maybe you can start by sharing why you started a Substack at the first place. Because you were already running a six-figure business, you were writing online in blogs, etc. At which point you said that okay, it's time to start a Substack, and how do you position it in your content funnel?
Sure. So I have been doing a blog, as you mentioned, all the way back to 2008. I've recently found it and put it in the author stack archives. It's called the LA Grind. It still has a couple of good articles and a lot of very depressing articles about when I first started moving. Like basically the day I moved to LA, I started it. Um, and I had a podcast for a long time, which was originally called The Business of Art, and then The Complete Creative. We did like 200 episodes. And then I started working with my business partner, Monica Leonel, and she was telling me she was getting like 50 to 100 subscribers a day on Substack or some like, it was, and I was like, well, I don't get that a month. Like I don't get it organically a month. Like I was doing a lot of stuff to get like a lot of growth, but she was like, I don't even do anything and I get a lot of growth. And I was like, that is wild. And so I filed it in the back of my head. And then we started we released this book called Get Your Book Selling on Kickstarter, which was very popular. And there were just a lot of ideas that I needed to talk out in person. And I'm the kind of person that like I can only think by writing. Like I once something is done, I'm like, oh, that's what I think about it. So I was writing a lot of like I needed a like a repository for that. And so I decided to start a Substack because I was like, I'm going to test this. Like, Monica can't possibly be right that like you get this much organic growth from Substack, like of subscribers. Like, this is wild. And I just happened to do it like the month before they release notes, and like stuff just went like bananas. But I'd been doing so. I started a blog on Mailchimp. I started a newsletter on Mailchimp, and then like I moved it to Flowdesk and like five or six other things, Send in Blue, which became Brevo, I think, and like some of my so like I've had like a rather large mailing list from like for years ago from my fiction, and that's when I really started doing. But like the reason I think my stuff works is because other people resonate with it is because like it works for fiction, like and
Mm,
it works for nonfiction books, and it's very easy to so there's like two kinds of selling. Like there's pain point selling, which is what most people do in the fiction space, which is like money as end. I'm going to fix a pain point. You will give me money, and then I will keep doing that forever, and I will keep making money. But like there's this other kind of selling that fiction authors do and heart-based entrepreneurs do, where it's like money as means. So it's like money is the means to make the thing. And it's completely different than like pain point selling, where like I like pain point selling is like I don't care where the money comes from very much. I just like I see that pain point and I'm gonna like sell to that, and then I'm gonna extract money from that, and that money will then let me do things. Which is like frankly, it doesn't work very well. Like people on Substack, like that's not why most of them are writing. Like they're writing because they're like, I have this message I want to get out. I have this thing I want to do. I have this whether it's like stuffed beanie babies or like a vision for a mission for a nonprofit or like fiction books. Like there's a thing they want to do, and like money is the means to do it. But they would do that thing regardless of whether they were getting paid or not. But like, man, money sure is nice. And like, it turns out that if you are a money as means I call it soul resonance selling seller, like you are grossed out by all of that other stuff because like it commodifies the thing you care about more because like you are it does matter to you what you sell. It matters to you how you sell it. It matters to you who you sell to. And when you say things when you do other sales mechanisms, like they're usually like downplaying the thing you're making, why you're doing it, or who you're doing it to, which are like the three of the most important things most people on Substack care about, and like most reluctant entrepreneurs care about. So like I seem to have hit upon a time and a place where like people know they need money to make book, but like they don't need book to make money. Like they want to like make money to make a bigger impact with the thing they want. And it takes a completely different like if you came to me and said like I want to make $1 million, I would say awesome. Do you care how? Assuming it's legal. And if you were like no, I'd be like awesome. There are here are five businesses you could start tomorrow to make $1 million this year. And like you would be like, cool, that one resonates. I'm just going to do it. And I'm going to read all. And, but like when you are saying, I want to make $1 million and I want to make it selling these crocheted hats, I'm like, okay, like, well, like we're having a very different conversation because like now we have to talk about how to sell crocheted hats and then how to make enough money to survive on it and then how to scale up crocheted hats. It's not the money that matters, it's the product. Anyway, so all of that to say that I made this blog as like a repository that would hopefully house everything that I've done from 2008 to far into the future. And along the way, Substack started doing things like supporting audio, supporting video, supporting live, supporting all of these elements that it just made sense for me to combine more and more things into this like Substack, and hopefully becomes like a repository for how to live a creative life and make money doing it. Because like, I mean, I spend a lot of the money that I make, but like, I made 400 grand last year, mostly on like just weird things that came out of my head that I wanted to do. And my life has never been about like make the money. It's always like, I want to do this thing. How do I maximize the money and make it feel good in a way that like we go? So I don't know if that answers your question, but like that's kind of the genesis for the blog and what has happened since then.
Yeah, I mean, this is also what I observed, that there is a different ecosystem uh, on Substack, right? Because you also had a chance to experience all different email service providers and all these platforms. But on Substack, there is something different. It's more about putting the creative work out there, sharing with people, having some thoughtful discussions, creating a community, etc. So, especially creative people like yourself um, are finding this really crucial to share their work on Substack. And also in time, uh, as you mentioned, Substack launched many features, I think, to support all these mission, right? Like
Mm.
chat, uh, like this one, live, podcast, etc. How do you use all these other features that have been recently booming to, I don't know, stay connected with your audience or to grow or to share your work?
Yeah, so I think that one of the things that people again, this goes back to the means versus ends conversation, is like,
Yeah.
is like, what is the reason why you're doing the thing? Like, what is the reason you want to do a podcast? Do you want to do a podcast because like it is going to bring you closer to a small group of people? Are you doing it because you want to find a new group of people? Or like, are you doing it because Substack says you should do a podcast? And like there, I'm not saying that last thing is not a real reason. Like if Substack is like, I'm going to push podcasts, then they're going to push podcasts. And so like they're going to like, if you want massive growth, you should probably do a podcast. But like you should then do a podcast that is built for growth, not like a podcast that is like your weird little heart-based podcast. You should like do something. And the way you design those two things are very different. If you want to make your podcast like cool fruit trees in New England, like there's probably a very small ceiling, like low ceiling for that. But there may be a high floor. Like you might be the only podcast. So people always ask me, they're like, why is my book not selling? And I'm like, well, your book's about like wolf shifters who like macrame potatoes in South Africa. Like, how many did you sell? And they're like 500. I'm like, that's great. Like, there's probably 500 people that care about that in the whole world. You may have reached all of them. And like, that that is a very different thing. So a lot of times I hear about growth, or like, why aren't I growing? And I'm like, well, like you are doing things antithetical to your growth. And like that's okay. Like I have no problem with you shooting yourself in the foot for growth tactics. I just want you to know where you're pointing the gun. And then it's fine. Like I don't like that's fine, but like I don't want you to say I want to grow really fast. And also, I want to like talk about macrameing sparrows, because there's just like those two things are impossible to do together, because there are very few people who are going to like easily who are going to be searching. There may be a ton of people who care about macrameing sparrows, but like, are those people searching for macrameing sparrows? And that, because that's where like that hyper growth comes from, is like searching and like then getting all of these things to like chaos together. And so like sometimes I'm saying, look, you're very nice and I like you, and I mean no, but like I don't like live videos. I just like I my preference would be to do this on Zoom and then put it out later. that is just like I would prefer to not have video. But like there are a couple of things. Like one, you asked. Two, it is a really good growth mechanism for Substack. And three, like it's a pretty low lift. I showed up a couple minutes early. 2 minutes after this video, I'm going to turn to my desk and start writing for the day. So like that's how I think about it. Basically, one is, does this further my mission?
Mhm.
And so sometimes you want to make a course because you just need to show a screen share to like have maximum impact. And like, so sometimes, and like if that helps the mission, then like I'm inclined to do it. Two, does it help money, like the money situation? And if it hits both of those things, then I'm like, awesome. It makes me money and it furthers my mission. Amazing. Usually, but I also have done many things just for the money. I used to help authors grow their email list. Like I would like help them, and like I've done a lot of like consulting in my life. I don't love consulting, but like the money is good and I'm very good at it. So like I will do those things sometimes. I won't do things that like go against the mission, but if there are things that are pro mission and I also make money, or I just make money and it doesn't hurt the mission, amazing. Like, does it help grow my network? Well, like me and you have been, you have one of my favorite newsletters. Like, then you reached out, and like you keep, like, I want to build a deeper relationship with like you and like Sinem and the team at Build Scale. I've been working with them. Like, so like there are some times that I'm just like, I mean, I don't care. I just like want to like hang out with a person, and I
Mhm.
think that like those kind of things are lost when you talk about like growing, because like so much of growth is the function of the network that you have. And so much of the function of the network you have is like hanging out with cool people before they are in a position to help you. And then like you help them, they help you, and like you all grow together. And so like, but like that looks at the beginning like wasting your time because it's not leading to growth in the next 2, 6 year, maybe 5 years. But like as you do that over time, a lot of this stuff that seems like wasting your time actually is like the biggest growth metric that you can possibly have, because you only need one person in that friend group to go hyper viral, and like suddenly the whole group is going hyper viral, and then like there's other people are pushing you up, and so I I kind of have a very my words for the year are feral chaos, and like my goal is to just like let chaotic things happen and hope that enough good stuff happens to like get to for it to propel me up instead of blowing up in my face. So I used to have more strategy stuff that I do specifically, but once you get to a certain level, I think you just have to let chaos happen.
Mm. Really nice. Yes. As you said, some efforts that you are doing, or I don't know, the time that you are spending, not all the time that you are spending shouldn't be linked to the growth directly. There are some different ways or indirect ways to boost growth over time. But for example, building authentic relationships, building collaborations, I don't know, meeting new people on Substack is definitely one of them. It doesn't bring, I don't know, immediate growth, but since you create your own circle and own community and build all these relationships, you can see their impacts. And it's not only related to growth, actually. You're learning from each other, you're supporting each other's work. You know, most creators are doing these things alone. And meeting new people from your circle also can motivate you, to keep doing. You just said that, okay, you're one of my favorite newsletters, this is something really important to hear from you. So yeah, for example, these live sessions, I also started these live sessions not to boost growth, actually, just to build deeper relationships with all amazing creators that I'm interviewing in a written way, but to meet them and maybe have some thoughtful discussions, which is not possible to do in a written way.
Right.
So you're right, but you're also using notes, right? For example, on Substack, if we talk about the features that you utilize to grow or you to share your work. What about chat, for example? Do you use chat or any other
No,
features?
because I have a very low engagement newsletter. By that I mean like I don't get a lot of clicks. Like I don't get a lot of likes. Like I don't get a lot of comments on my posts. But like I think that's okay. And we don't like most people are connecting through reading, which is like what I want. And so like I've tried chats many times. Like they just I don't like. It's not a thing I particularly care about. It's not a thing my audience seems to care about. Like engaging in comments. Like I hired Claire to like help me with engagement. Just like there's something about the way that I write that like doesn't really work. I think by the time someone finishes 365 ways to like talk about your writing, they're like, the last thing I want to do is talk about this again. I need like a year to process through this emotion. Um, so I use the recommendations feature a lot. I also want to do things that amplify my leverage. So like every recommendation I get amplifies how many times I get seen. Like every time I'm shared, it amplifies the sharing. Like every time someone talks about me when I'm not in the room, like is something that I do care about. But like if you whether you comment on a post or like read it in your little hobby hole and like quietly um, quietly process it, like that doesn't matter to me. Like I don't need the performative like comments. So I focus on things that I think build leverage. So I do growth activities. I create anthologies and like I try to bring people into my publication to write for my publication or be interviewed for my publication so I can expand beyond that. I try to write posts that like are eminently shareable and like easily shareable and like they are self-contained inside themselves. And to go to the point of this conversation, which is like the kit stuff, like I want people to buy my books or like I actually don't care so much if they like whether they um, buy like a year subscription to the author stack or like but I want them to buy the book. I want them to like buy the course. I want them to care. I want them to feel transformed by the situation they're in. So that's why I have like 1,000 paid articles and such and resources on my Substack because like I just want you to be able to like have the transformation that you want to have and like give me $20 also would be nice. um so yeah, like I do a lot more like launch behaviors and like automation sequences and like 2 to 3 year long email sequences and like things that are going to like get people to open and read. But readers are like not a very engagement heavy group of humans. Authors are like they're just like they're introverted. They like to process things on their own and like that's okay. Some audiences, like my comics audience, is very engaging online, and like they also buy. But like, just because my readers and my authors aren't as engaging doesn't mean they're not performing the action that I want them to take, which is like to buy my book or like to come to my coaching session or to like or to say Russell is the right person to have a transformation with. I just need to find the right transformation and then I will pay for that or at least come and hear me talk for free.
Mhm. You quickly mentioned about it, but let's elaborate on how you use Kits and why you have it, right?
Sure.
Because there are some areas Substack is not enough for you. to promote your other products like courses, the conference that you are doing, all the ebooks, webinars, etc. So maybe you can mention about how does it work, how you manage Substack and Kit together. What is this Kit list about? I mean, did you import all these Substack subscribers into your Kit? And what is the typical communication that you are running on Kit and how you are using it?
Sure. So I think that Substack's segmenting, it's like automation, its reporting are horrifically bad. Like, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
put that out there. Like, it is like I can't believe they can look at themselves in the face in the morning and like have the features of like I don't know how anyone runs like a business just on Substack because like it doesn't tell you how much money you make in any way that like makes sense or how many like it cuts off like when they like it seems like it arbitrarily tells you cuts off every day differently when they decide that like your growth is done for the day and to calculate it. I never know. Like it always seems every time it seems different. So um, Kit is my mailing list solution. I think it's the best for writers, mainly because it's very easy to write. Like it's very easy to like do the things. It's like there are other such solutions which may be better, but like they also come with like impossible like like it's hard to write in them. It doesn't look pretty to write with them. It seems like the writing part was like the end result, like the last thing they thought about. Whereas with like Kit, it feels like it's like the first thing that they thought about. Like it's just very easy to like compose without chaos. Um, but like there are a lot of mailing list solutions. By the way, I do not think Substack is a mailing list solution. I will tell you why in a second. But like it could be Mailchimp or MailerLite or Flowdesk or ConvertKit is what Kit became. Aweber, Constant Contact, there, Sendy. There's just a billion. But like
You also
I,
you also tried Beehive, right? I
I did
think
try
for
Beehive. I did
what
try
do you think
Beehive.
about?
It is very good, but I could not figure out how to make it like do the like writing an email in Beehive is exhausting. It's just like there's a lot of colors. It's like not easy. Like the segmentation's not as easy as like I want it to be. Like it's made for people who are good at business, which like awesome. But like I'm a writer first who like does business things, and so like I don't want to get a PhD in segmentation to use your service. So Beehive didn't work for the way my brain works. But also, unless you work in AI, crypto, or finance, it's very hard to find like collaborators on Beehive in a way that it's a lot easier on ConvertKit. Like there's just more creators in their network that I resonated with than on Beehive. Um, but in order to be a mailing list solution, I think you have to have some sophistication where it comes to mailing list segmentation. And because I divide mailing lists and newsletter as two different events. A newsletter
Mhm.
is a value-based outbound outreach event that is a very low sales lift. Maybe you have an ad in it, maybe you have a way to sign up at the bottom, but it's you're not spending the bulk of the information is value based. With a mailing list, like the bulk of the email is sales based. And the way that I determine which is which is can someone read this post with on its own and have its own value based and like have a change, like feel changed by it. And like I do both. And yes, you can send email in Kit, but you
Mhm.
can't schedule future emails in Kit in Substack. You have to send it when you have to be there to actually send the thing. So like you can send mailing list based things in Substack, but the Substack ecosystem hates mailing list based newsletters. It just like devalues them, not because they're bad, but because they don't have intrinsic value to like the audience outside of like that promotion. It also takes them outside of your ecosystem, which Substack also hates to amplify, just like any social media does. Okay, so I think you need a newsletter solution and a mailing list solution. And I think I think they should probably be separate so someone could unsubscribe from this bit and still get this bit, or this bit and still get this bit. Because there are a lot of people in your audience that just want to hear you selling when you sell things. And nobody believes me when I say this, especially creators, but like the value you are providing in your mailing list is to tell people when there are new things to buy. Like that does have its own value because they want to buy the thing. They don't want to subscribe to your cereal or your like deep thoughts on like pejorative capitalism or like your travel logs. They just want your next book or your next art project. And like so those people exist. You can say that they don't exist or not, newsletter humans, but like I guarantee you they do because I am that person for most writers.
But they should know you from somewhere before they want to buy anything from you, right? They
Right,
should create
exactly.
awareness and trust in a way. And this is why we think, like, someone on the mailing list should also be a newsletter subscriber, because they will read all the things that I write there, then they will trust me, understand the value, and then eventually they want to buy. So maybe on this group that you mentioned on the mailing list, who are not newsletter subscribers, they are maybe your older readers, or they know you from other platforms, right?
Maybe they read your last book. Maybe they read a guest post that you did. Like maybe they, but like, yes, usually someone who wants to buy from you has either like found you somewhere else before, either whether that's reading your book or reading an article or reading a short story you did or like whatever, heard you on a podcast or something. Um, but like, yes, so like, yes, that is why you need both things. But Kit is terrible at like organic reach as far as like having a website or like anything where like you can't like just have Kit. And I don't think you can just have Substack either because Substack like is intrinsically terrible at like getting someone to buy anything that's not a Substack subscription. And it's also terrible, by the way, at bringing people off Substack to Substack and having them buy. In order to buy from Substack, you really need it's like its own terrarium. You know what a terrarium is? Like you put stuff in, then you seal it off, and then like like the people that buy from Substack only buy on Substack. Everyone else, nobody buys from Substack. They buy other things, but like there's very little overlap. So like you're almost creating a like self-sustained ecosystem inside Substack, and then another one of people who buy. I'm not saying nobody buys, like there are people, but comparatively, like very few people who buy on Substack buy other ways, and very few people who buy other ways buy on Substack. And that is how it's supposed to be. If somebody wants to buy books, they are not going to buy your Substack. They are going to buy books, but like they'll buy all your books. Like if someone wants to consume a podcast, they'll consume a podcast, but like they aren't going to read your 10,000 word treatise on the French Revolution because like they are a podcast human currently. People can change, people can fall into multiple categories, but I think when you talk about Substack specifically, like Substack is so good. Their Kool-Aid is so delicious. It's like so easy to drink it. But like the truth is that whether they have 5 or 50 million paying people, that's almost nobody. That's effectively zero people in the universe of people. And they have 4 million or 5 million or whatever, which is a lot, but like there are 8 billion people in this world, which means literally 8 billion of them don't buy on Substack, but they still buy other places. And so, like, they might buy on Amazon, they might buy other places, they might buy a book, which is why I think everyone should turn a blog into a book, because some people, way more people will buy your book, even if it's more expensive than your subscription, because that is a single finite object. So,
Mhm.
um, Substack is really only good at selling Substack to Substack and building value. Like, they're very good at like building value and getting people to subscribe. But okay, I call an automation sequence pitching a perfect game. It is they will find you somewhere. Like, someone will find you on an article. And then they might be like, I want to find out what more Russell's about. And yes, they can go to your about page. Yes, they can go to your index page, but like, they probably won't. They'll probably just like buy, like join your Substack and then wait for your next missive, which might be a good introduction to them, or it might be friggin' crazy pants banana sauce stuff that like just like will not make sense because they are not indoctrinated to how you think. So, what you want to do, whether you're selling them a thing or selling them nothing, is to like give them an automated series of events to get them to understand what you're all about. That just gets delivered to them passively into their inbox or somewhere. And like,
Mhm.
Substack is atrocious at doing this. You always need more than one email. And I really don't want people to get other emails from me until they understand the context for the article that I just sent them, that they found me to. So, in order to do that, I have a very complicated system where uh, the emails come to Gmail. They get filtered and tagged in Gmail as like a free subscriber, a paid subscriber, a billing fail, whatever it is. And then they get archived immediately. So I never see these emails. Like, they literally come in, they get tagged, and they go away. I'm saying that initially because people are always like, I don't know how I would have all of my unsubscribes in my inbox. I'm like, great, they go away. They like go into some nowhere land. But you actually do want them to exist because Substack will never tell you who unsubscribes. Like, so like, if you want to see who unsubscribes from your email, or like search for somebody who is no longer on your list, the only documentation you have is that email that Substack has sent you. So if for no other reason, you want to at least archive it and tag it properly, even if you don't do the rest of this. Then through Zapier, you could also use Make or any number of systems, but like, I use Zapier because I'm over 40 and that's what I learned. Um, I take that, and through Zapier, I take the tag and I connect them to Kit. And
Mm.
they are then tagged in Kit. They are then removed from any Kit emails that they may be part of until they finish my automation sequence. And they get a different automation sequence depending on whether they are paid, whether they are new free, whether they whether their billing failed, whether they unsubscribe, like whatever the reason is, whether they're
So
on a free trial.
you have different communication flow, all these different segments, right? If someone
Correct.
is if someone is an unsubscriber, then you are running a win back campaign. Maybe remind them that they might be back, or maybe you can try to understand why they left and
Yeah.
offer
So
something to them. And for new subscribers, you are doing this great stuff, rewarding a new subscriber after 1 month, 3 months, and 1 year.
yeah,
So these
yeah,
are also kind of retention efforts.
yes. That have nothing
Yeah.
to do with making any money. They have not like, if you're like, this feels gross, I don't want to sell them a thing. The thing you said, like, if they are subscribed for 1 month, they get a free extra thing. I just email
Yeah.
them and like, thanks for being a subscriber. Like, in 3 months and 6 months, and they're tagged and like they're segmented and all of these things. Usually, when I don't send to a disabled email for unsubscribe much because like they said they don't want to hear from me. But if someone like stops being a paid subscriber, I
Mm,
want to know why. And this is
mhm,
how I found out recently that when they get the email for renewing their subscription, if someone had a discount, the email doesn't say they had a discount. It says they're resubscribing at the full price. They have to go to the site and click through, and like if they're paying $10 a year or $20 a year, they're still being told that they're going to pay $50, and so they're just letting the subscription run out because like they'll just do it again, and it's friggin' it drives me crazy that this happened. But like I for about the last 6 months. One time a month, I will get an email that's like, "Oh yeah, I unsubscribe. I like stopped paying because like it said I wasn't going to get my discount again." And I'm like, what percentage of people are unsubscribing because they're not getting the discount again that they would get? Like, it's not me saying, like, even Substack will reward the discount. It's just that when the email goes out, it doesn't say that they get a discount. Um,
yes, this is also an uh, operationally overwhelming process,
right,
right? For many creators. And okay, you have huge experience with different email service providers, tools, you are using automation tool like Zapier, etc. Even for you, you're spending time to navigate and figure out all these things. But imagine that I'm a I'm a creator with 4,000 subscribers, and I
right,
decided to sell courses. And this is the point that I will need a proper segmentation, right?
right. So
Then
here, let's see if I can find it. Like, so can I turn this around and nope, oh, there
yes,
we go.
you can do.
Oh, okay. So like this is my email sequence that I send to AuthorStack people. And so I like showing it because it's pretty easy to set up. Like this is a pretty low lift in Kit. This is why I like it. All of the emails are on the right side. To add another email, you just click add email, and then it pulls up this thing and it says when should it send. And then you can pick in your and then you go to this automation, and here's the actual automation that comes in. So let me see where the one is for.
Mm, it's a bit difficult to read for me, but
Yeah, well, I'll push it in when it goes in. So, okay, so when someone is tagged to one of these tags,
hmm,
they then get tagged for this, which goes, which I have some other automations about unsubscribers that happen here, but then they get this author welcome sequence. And
yeah.
then
How many emails do you send to new subscribers, for example?
thir- 13.
13.
13 because, hang on, let me turn this around again. But I started with three
Three,
or five.
yes.
I recommend like 3 or 5
And how long does
email.
it take? How long does it take to finish this sequence, like sending all these 13 emails?
Um, it takes about a month because I send every Tuesday to my wannabe press list, and then I have an article that releases every Wednesday, and I don't send on those days. And then if
Mm-hmm.
I do a second email, I would do it on Friday. So I also don't send on Friday. So they're getting emails every day, but not on like those specific days. And so I, I wanted to show that because I set that up once,
Mm-hmm.
and like I like never have to set it up again. I just like now all I do is I go into the sequence and update the sequence. Um, and usually when you do, so what I recommend people do is when they have their next, so like let's say you're going to do a course, you're probably going to send emails about the course
Yes.
as you like are promoting it. All you have to do then is take those emails and like make a sequence for them, And so you can sell them forever. And like that's why launches and book launches and Kickstarters and even when you do like a pledge drive kind of launch for Substack can be so effective because like you can then take the information, the best information, the ones that caused like the most excitement, the ones that the most people bought, and like turn that into like a perfect automation sequence. So like everyone who hits your thing, like suddenly is you. That's why I say it's pitching a perfect game because it's like all your best stuff. Even if you don't want to sell a course, you should go through and find the most engaging content that you have and like send that to them in an order that like they can like a new subscriber can say, "Oh, I understand the value now. I was overwhelmed."
Yes, I mean, it doesn't have to be a course selling. Even like this welcome sequence is something really important to warm up new subscribers and to make them understand what you will provide and the real value in it. Because otherwise, someone is subscribing and getting one email every week, and maybe they miss some of them. So it's
Right,
really difficult to make them understand what we are really offering, and then turn them into buyers for your
right,
courses, products, etc. But yeah, as I said, this is something maybe confusing for many Substack creators. So that's why people are trying to increase their paid subscribers, activate it, and then focus
right,
on increasing paid subscription, right? Maybe this is also maybe the reason why Substack isn't improving their user analytics, is because they
right,
want to keep it as this and push paid subscription side,
right.
right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't see any reason for not
Well,
doing it.
and the reason that I use Zapier is because there's no API for Substack. So I have to
Yeah.
use Gmail to like do any of the work that I do. So for somebody who wants something simpler, I just want to show this. This is for my, so when someone downloads a free book from my God's Verse Chronicles universe, they get they usually get the first book. And I send an email that says, "Thank you. Here's the God's Verse. Here's your download link." And then I have these very simple emails. One that explains Portal Fantasy and what the book is. It says, "This is a Noble Bright series. Each book
Mm-hmm.
takes place on its own. They can be read separately, but it's better to read them." And then it says, then I have this is the number one thing that people say as praise. "You make me feel like I have agency in a chaotic world." And yes, there's a discount for their special, but like you don't have to have this discount. You can just say, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
this is the feeling that you are going to get from my books. Do you like that?" And then the next one is just like, "Here are some reviews that people have said about the God's First Chronicles." And then it's like, "Here are some reasons to read more." And then I do like a discount. So like that, it doesn't have to be as complicated as my
Mm-hmm.
author stack sequences.
Mm-hmm.
Most people ask me like how to do this for fiction, and I'm like, well, like at some point you should put a book, you should like make an opt-in for your book. That's like these are the 20 best things that like I said, these are the first 30 chapters of my book. This is like this is like my framework, whatever it is, and just say, "Hey, you can get this for free." And like in the first, like download this part, it'll give you all of the good information so that you can understand where we are now and we can develop the language together. And then when someone opts into that and they become what we call a hot buyer who like is interested, then they can be like, "Okay, so let's break apart this thing. Let's say why we need this. Why do we need an email sequence? Why do we need these things? Like, who is this character? Like, why should you support me telling more blah blah blahs in this universe?" Like, it people always sit here like automation sequence and they're like, Oh my God, like that. I don't want to sell anything ever. But I think at least something like that, or even saying somebody who joins my mailing list, someone who joins my Substack gets tagged as like new subscriber level one. And then
Mm-hmm.
after 1 month, they get tagged as level two. And at level two, I want to email them something that's like, here's a free course, here's a free video that I have. And then at 3 months, at 6 months, at 1 year, on 2 year, I just want to give everyone more stuff. But I, Russell Nolte, don't want to go through and sort everyone like and give them a thing. I just want like the internet to do it or like automations to do it. And so it's like it's a little more complicated now, but it's most of the complication is in thinking through what the experience you want for your people because like Kit can't do that. Like if you want like a if you want one of those level sequences, if you want like a sales sequence, if you just want like a indoctrination sequence, they actually on Kit have like examples of all of these things that you can use. But like what I have, the reason my author stack automation is 13 emails long is because over the course of getting to 50,000 subscribers and getting 1,000 paid members, like I wrote a lot of stuff that like it turns out like people really, really like, like they want, like it resonated with them.
Yeah,
So
you
like
have a lot.
there,
You have many
yeah.
products and many things to share,
Well,
right?
even things like this one is called Another Thing, really, and it's like look, you don't have to do any of this stuff, but you're probably like one of this, a creative, like a trad published. Here are some other resources that you can find, other people you should follow. Retail, do you care about retail? Do you care about direct sales? Like, what is your thing? And this is mostly just like go follow these other people. Like this is not anything that like I'm making a ton of money on. I just want
Mhm.
to help. And then it's like, sure, why should you care about my newsletter? But there's all of these things that just keeps like that kept coming up over and over and over again. And I got sick of writing those emails to like people. And I was just like, okay, this is clear. And you know what happens when I put an email in this sequence? Suddenly, I don't ever have to write that email again. No one has written me for like recommendations for other Substacks since I added that Substack one because it's all there. They get what they need, and then I can just write.
Mhm. So it's been almost 1 hour. Maybe before finishing, um, to make it more easier for people who have not used Kit or any automation before, I think it's important to say that you don't have to have many products to sell. You don't have to start with a complicated sequences, etc. Even if a Substack creator with paid subscription, or I don't know, maybe someone who started but growing recently, can implement these automations to their publication, let's say. So let's take my newsletter as an example. I recently activated paid subscription. I have 4,000 subscribers. I don't have any products to sell yet, but I like to integrate some automations to my business, to my newsletter, to maybe ensure retention or to make sure that newcomers are, used to, or I mean, they become familiar with my work and they will understand what I offer better, etc. What would be the ideal sequence that I can start tomorrow?
Okay, so I'm going to assume you already have the like first email set. The first email that Substack will send should say something like,
Yes.
"Thanks for coming. Please reply with like your biggest problem so I can send you a resource, and also like here's a book that like have has my 20 best insights for creators." So like I'm gonna assume you have that handled. Um, the the next email I would send is like your best article or your three best articles. Or ideally, what you would do is to say, click on where are you as a creator? Like,
Mhm.
are you a newbie? Are you a blah? Are you a blah? Like, and I'm going to send you my best article about that thing. And then you would have three clicks or like a poll question, whatever the thing, but like really that click then would be tagged to send an email that's like, cool, thanks so much for playing along. Like you're a newbie creator, like who's at like 1,000, who's like under 1,000 newsletter people. Here are the three best, most relevant things for you. Or these are like if you want to be a slightly more complicated and go through or have your assistant go through and pull out like the best like just like this is what Russell said, this is what like this these are the three things that like you like the that people have, these are the three biggest articles and here's a check and here's like a paragraph from that article to like get you started. um I think like that's where I would start. I would
Mhm.
like how I talk to people when I do consulting is what is think of the win condition of your perfect subscriber. They are sitting there at their email, your email comes in and like they have it made. They took all your advice. They've done all of your things. Like they are just peachy keen. What does their life look like? And what are the 3 to 5 things that like they had to learn?
Mhm.
That like they had to, what are the 3 to 5 break bust like things you had to bust through for like them to become like the perfect subscriber or pay or whatever, and then where are they now? And an automation sequence should ideally take someone on a journey that starts with like, oh sweetie, your life is chaos. Like it's okay, like everyone's life is chaos. Like what kind of chaos are you in now? And then be able to walk them through from that chaos to peace through your newsletter. Like, whether that is a fiction newsletter, a nonfiction newsletter, the question is like, what point of transition are they in? And what transformation do you want them to get by the end? And I would contend you do have a product because you turned on paid. The minute you turned on paid, you had one product.
Mhm. Yeah, great. Thank you so much. I hope this made more easier for everyone to understand better, and we made it easier to understand. Yes. Do you have anything to add about, I don't know, how to use Kit or how to use automations or their benefits? Anything before we go?
Sure. I mean, I think my publication has an article about automation sequences. It definitely has one about like launch sequences. So like you can go there. Kit has like a landing page thing that if you're using Kit, you can also like create a landing page for your book or whatever your thing. I have an article about how to turn your book into your blog into a book. Have all sorts of these things at theauthorstack.com. You can also I'll also offer consulting. You can email me at russell@wannabepress.com and ask whatever questions. But like, it's the kind of thing What my friend would recommend is like make a suck list. Things that suck that you don't want to do, and then find ways to automate them away. And like for me, sitting every morning and writing 300 emails or however many emails to new people come in like isn't fun for me. So I want to like get that off of my plate. And this is a thing that looks much more complicated than it actually is once you like go through the process.
Great. Thank you so much, Russell. It was a great discussion.
You're,
I hope everyone joined also enjoyed. Feel free to share your questions about these email automations, how to use Kit, or anything you'd like to learn further. Maybe we can do another
sure.
live on some specific topics about it. You also said that you have an article about these sequences, right? I will add this live recording on Newsletter Circle page, and we can provide some links if you'd like to share with the audience so that they can have a look and have an idea about how to kick off
I
automations.
actually I have one. It's called How to Automate Importing Substack Subscribers into Kit Through Gmail. It's
Ah, perfect. This is basically what you were telling us today. So
yep,
it will be also nice to add this link. I will get in touch with you. Thank you so much again, and hope to see you soon.
sounds great. All right, bye.
Bye bye.